What's going on, Kingdom Builders? Welcome back to another special episode of the Kingdom Builders podcast. Today I have a very special guest, traveled all the way from Sydney, Australia. I have my good friend Linh Podetti that's come out here to this special studio. But Linh, thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me and for bringing me around San Diego. This is my first time here and trying the amazing Mexican food straight away as well.
Yes. You said the fish taco was good.
Amazing.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. Well, guys, you're going to have an opportunity today to dive into someone that's been extremely successful on multiple fronts. Family, business. She's the founder of Outsourcing Angel, which I'm a client of, which I love, by the way. If you're ever looking for someone that wants to do virtual assistants, like you are the go-to because we waste so much time. In fact, time is something we're really big on. You wrote this book, 40 Productivity Hacks for Professionals and Entrepreneurs, which I can't wait to dive into as well too, but time is big. But the most fascinating thing I want to dive into today is recently, in the last 4 years or so, you've made a big shift and you've found faith, you found Jesus, and now your entire life is turned upside down. And I'd love to kind of dive into what that's made an impact on your life and your business as well too. So we're going to cover a lot of ground today.
Yeah, I'm excited.
And it's going to be good. So Linh, first, for our audience that doesn't know you, who is Linh Podetti and your background?
Yeah, like you said, I think we're more than just a business owner. I'm a mum. I'm a wife to an Italian husband. Oh, yeah. Been happily married for 14 years. I've been a mumpreneur for over 14 years. Wow. My first business was a e-commerce business. I started nail polish, and I thought I would make $1 million in the first year. Yeah. Being ignorant and had no idea about business, it really led me into the whole outsourcing game. So other things people call me is outsourcing expert. Mm-hmm. I now would say I'm not just, outsourcing is just one of the key ways to reclaim time. Yeah. I would call myself even a productivity expert.
Which is huge, which by the way, I see her do this in action as we were setting up for today. I mean, you made the genius swap of how to even start this on time and everything, but you do it with such grace. So let's dive into some practicals first, because we all need more time. Like the most precious thing that we do have is time itself. So you have 40 productivity hacks, which we're not going to get into all 40. You have to go grab the book. But if there was like one major one that you would say that most people don't do that has made a big difference for you, what would you say that would be?
Yeah. I would say that if you did this one hack, it will make other hacks easier, which is waking up early. So maybe over 5 years ago, I started waking up. The first time I thought I would just wake up at 5. I used to wake up at 8 and sleep for 8 hours, thinking that I need the 8 hours sleep. Yeah. And, 8 seems like a normal time to wake up. But when I discovered, so I was on a holiday with my virtual assistant who's been with me, over 10 years now. We were on a vacation together after our company retreat. I saw her in the morning. I woke up at 8 and here she is, vibrant and energetic, and says, "Good morning, Miss Linh. Would you like a coffee?" And it wasn't that she's already awake. Right. It was the energy that she had. And I was like, oh my God, how do you wake up that early? And, we've all heard of celebrities and really successful people waking up early. You see it on articles, you see it on magazines, but you never really believe that you could do it. Right. But when you see someone in real life done it, you're like, I want to be on what she's on, wake up whatever time she's on. And so when I came back to Australia, I started practicing waking up at 5 a.m. But I realized I didn't gain that much time. I slowly got to 4, and now I do 3. Now, the reason why I say waking up early is so important is that it gives you so much more time to do the important things, such as, what am I supposed to really do today that's going to change and make an impact? So you're planning, you're strategizing, you're journaling, you have time with God, you have time to meditate. Because all the other things that are good for you, like exercising, all that, most of the time you don't have time for it.
True.
And so by waking up early, it allows you just so much more time to do everything else.
So, okay, it seems easy to do, but anyone that's tried to wake up earlier, it is really tough because we're creatures of habits and everything. Yeah. So what are some things practically you did to actually wake up early then?
So I always encourage you to start slow. With any habit, it's not about like, oh, great, I'm just going to, right now I'm waking up at 8 and I'm going to go 4. No,
right.
Go 7:30 for the next week. This is a marathon, not a sprint, right?
Yeah.
We are changing our habits, and there is no time that we need to hit by. Just do it slowly so that you could get there and don't feel like it's so hard that you'll never do it again.
Yeah.
And so don't get too ambitious. As an entrepreneur, we're like, I'm just going to go straight to, it's just, you can do it. It's just going to be harder. Another hack that I have in there is I still, to this day, put my alarm outside of my room.
Oh.
Now, the reason for that is I've tested it. Whenever, even though I've built a habit of waking up early, we naturally default to being lazy and safe. And so whenever I have my phone next to me, I can't help to wake up, or like the alarm would ring, and then I'm like, oh, snooze. Oh, another snooze.
That was me this morning.
Right. And so I read the book Atomic Habit. And since then, one of his strategies is how do you do a habit that makes other habits easier? And so if you have it outside, you already have to run outside quickly, turn it off.
Yeah.
And when you're already up, it's kind of harder, it's more resistant to actually go back and lie down. And so that has helped me to maintain that kind of sleep schedule as well. So
huge. Yeah, because our creative space is so important and precious for entrepreneurs. Our time with God, that's what we do. Jesus regularly went by himself to Mount Olives to commune with God to get those amazing ideas. But so many times we're in reactivity, we're in response mode, especially as an entrepreneur, there's fires but all the time. And I know for me, many times I like my head hits the pillow at night. I'm like, where'd my time go? But just waking up super earlier.
Yeah.
That's simple.
And you'll realize that for me especially, and I know many others, you have so much more creativity in the morning. So something that could take me 2 hours to figure out, I could think in 5 minutes. It's like my brain just works in next level.
Yeah.
The output is so high that I'm addicted to the morning routine because I'm like, I can't wait to solve big problems in the morning. And then when you get things done earlier, then by 6 o'clock, I have time and motivation to actually go to the gym. Because so often we wake up at, really tight time when work has started. You're thinking, how am I going to fit the gym in because I have all these important things to do? But if you've already done it and got it out of the way, then you have time for fitness. And the thing is, fitness gives you energy, and so it kind of just becomes this very productive cycle where you've got energy all day. After being running my business for over 10 years, I still have that passion and energy and that drive. And it's not because I'm special, it's because I do certain things. And I wasn't a productive person before. It was just things that I can learn, and I know if I could do it, you can all do it. That's
a huge thing. Entrepreneurship is a marathon, just like what you mentioned. And these little things are what makes us last the test of time. It's a big difference maker. It's easy to start a business. It's easy to, try something new, but to stay in for 10 years, huge congratulations to you, the team, and everything. So let's walk into, so you're in your amazing business. It's scaled. It's done amazing things. You've served clients. I mean, how many countries are you serving now, for example, of clients?
I can't remember the number of countries, definitely probably over 10. You're in America, we've got clients in Singapore, in Canada. It's a remote business. We provide remote staff, so it can be run anywhere. But we have over 100 virtual staff that work with clients at the moment. And I'm really grateful that I've been able to build a team to run it without me as well. And that's the kind of freedom I want for business owners. It's not just how to start a business so that you have money. It's about how do you actually turn that money into freedom is what I'm really passionate about.
So let's talk about that then. I know it's so fun. Even just speaking for myself, I love entrepreneurship. I love being in the field. I love doing the do. And then when you talk about delegation, hiring, empowering, employing, or whatever, just not having it in your own hand, that sense of wanting of control is so tough. What are some practicals you found that have allowed you to actually establish more freedom in your business and life?
I was lucky that I got started working when I was really young. My mum forced me into child labor, working from home, doing sewing from the age of 10.
Oh, wow.
And she was one of the best delegator.
Really?
Now, she started me off with, hey, would you like to cut some tags off, And I thought, this is really simple. And it was fun. It was almost like arts and craft. I started cutting. And then when I got good at it, she's like, would you like to attach the tag onto the the pants or the shirt that we were sewing. And so I would start to do that, and slowly my skill set increased, my productivity increased, that I almost became this employee that is vital to her success.
Oh, wow.
And so I started working, even though I still am traumatized from that experience, being such a young girl working and like I just want my time to play with my friends. I really learnt a lot from her. She really taught about how to just start someone on something easy that they can do well, and then slowly you offload the next task, and then as they build that skill set, you do. So it allows her to do the bigger things, right? And so she was focused on doing the harder parts of that sewing. And so and I remember she's just so productive, even to the point where as soon as I get to the door, she can hear me. She's like, Lynn, is that you? And I'm like, yes. She goes, oh, could you please do this and this and this? She's already got these things lined up for me, right? Wow. And so she was not wasting time at all. And so I think I've learned a lot. I observed a lot. So when it came to delegation from day one, it wasn't hard for me. I just knew that other people could help and I could do it. The other thing about delegation was that I was lucky in that I didn't have a particular skill set. So what I mean by that is if you're a graphic designer and you start a graphic design business, you can't help to be the graphic designer and go, well, look, if I just do the work, I'll keep more money. But then what happens is you're stuck in it because you're just a graphic designer. What you really need to do is actually be good at sales, be good at marketing, and do the things that are leveraged because all the other things you can kind of hire for. And so from day one in business, I kind of didn't have that particular skill set. Like I didn't know how to design. I didn't know how to do web development. So after I did the nail polish business, I got into offshore staffing, but it was a marketing agency. So when someone needed to do a website or SEO, I knew who to do it. And so I hired the people as a contractor and did the work, and I was a project manager. And when it comes to delegating hiring, it always feels risky and scary because you're thinking, if I hire them, what if I don't make enough? Right. But the problem is that the thing is, once you free up your time, then what are you using that time to actually make more money? Huge. But if you hire them from the heart and you hire them because you see that they're people with a family, then you should be more motivated to actually work harder to feed them. Wow. Right? And it's thanks to having a team that I didn't give up on my business actually. Because if you're working on your own and the smaller the team is, the more there's really no risk in just closing it down, right? Or not doing it. Right. But as I scale, as I hired, I'm like, I have responsibilities. If anything, work is more fun with them actually. Right. And there are times when business isn't as great or COVID hit and you're thinking, oh my God, what if my business doesn't survive? But then you just have to make that tough decision and go, these are the people that have been there for me. Yeah. And when it starts to grow again, who's going to be there if I actually let them go? And so then all those decisions have helped me to last long in business, have a team that's there for me. Yeah. Because the thing is, team. Right. Yeah. If you don't take care of them, then how are you supposed to get out there and systemize yourself out of the business, knowing that they've got your back? Yeah. So you got to give first before that you can actually get from them. That's huge. So like the click that just happened. So primarily, my main business is network marketing. A lot of people that follow me, they're in network marketing too, which you don't hire necessarily, but you partner. But even there, we take small business mindsets in there because we can present better. I'm speaking for myself, right? I feel like I can do it all myself. But we just said, which was basically, I'm just paraphrasing, if you don't want to delegate, you're being selfish, essentially. Like that's what I heard. I'm like, oh, slap. So it's true because if I don't empower someone else, then they're not able to fish for themselves, so to speak. And that is so powerful. So as you were talking, you talk about these principles. You talk about treating your partners and your staff as family, which traditional corporate world is not like that. I know that's one big reason why you have loyalty and success in your business and in your life as well too. In the car over here, we were talking about Rabbi Daniel Lapin, and we're talking about biblical principles on how these are things, right? The Jews were all big on family. They were all big on making sure everyone was specialist in what they could do, but you go to someone else. You don't try to do it yourself, right? So everything you were doing was already kingdom principles. Yeah. And then you found faith. Yes. So I'd love to hear, how did that happen? Yeah. So I didn't grow up in a religious family. Yeah. If anything, I think my parents were more Buddhism, but they also would only I guess, pray on ancestry, anniversary day, or maybe New Year's.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't really practice any faith. And even though they put me in Catholic schools, I used to think it's kind of like, I don't know, jargon. It's kind of like those legend stories that some adults have made up. This is me as a child thinking I know everything. Some adults trying to fool us, you know, and they just want us to live a good life. So that's why this religion is there. Yeah. And so I never was a spiritual person nor believed there was a God out there. And it wasn't until years and years of trial and error in life, mixing with the wrong crowd, having a baby at the age of 20 and dated lots of bad people. And it wasn't until I was 27 did I kind of hit my bottom. And I remember that moment almost like surrendering, like, God, help me. I didn't know there was a God, but I just cried out for help because I no longer felt that I could do anything more. Because before, every problem that I had, I was like, yep, next time I won't date that person. Next time I'll do this. It was all like, Lynn knows everything. And it was that time that I surrendered and said, I need help. Was when help came to me. In that year, I was exposed to, you know, personal development and, you know, heard about Tony Robbins and Oprah and all those things, which helped me to manifest my dream guy, my dream life and everything. But then over the next 10 years, I still felt like something was missing. Like, I mean, it definitely helped me to live a better life in terms of become a better person because you learn about karma, you learn about give and take and all that stuff. And whatever you are, you can attract that. It definitely helped me to become a better person and attract the wealth and attract the prosperity. But I just felt like it was something missing, but I didn't know what that missing was. And no matter what books I buy, it kind of still come back to, I feel like it's quite shallow. It was still, what can you get, you know? And whatever you want, put it in the vision board and then you'll attract that. Right. Yeah. And then one day in 2020, just before COVID hit actually, I was on YouTube and I stumbled across a video from a pastor called Pastor Vlad from Hungry Generation.
Oh, yeah. Subcheck. Yeah.
He's amazing. Yeah. And he was speaking a message which didn't sound too religious or anything, but then he did reference the Bible. But then because I've been 10 years in personal development, I heard these verses and it's very familiar. Hang on. Yeah. Have I been fooled? Has everything I've been learning in the last 10 years in the personal development space have actually been just regurgitated from the Bible. And so I got curious and I did learn a little bit about Hillsong. At the time, the only church I knew is Catholic Church. And then Hillsong. And I'm like, I kind of like Hillsong because it's, you know, it's more fun.
More fun than the Catholic church.
Church. So let me find my way to Hillsong. And when I got there, I just cried. I just went, oh my God, this is my place. And so that's how I discovered Christianity. But it definitely was easier to all of a sudden adopt these values and philosophy because for the last 10 years, I was living that. I was more generous. I was giving. I was caring more about people first over profit. And so whatever I'm learning from the Bible and from the sermons, it was like, aha, I get it, right? Or in the years that I was trying to do life my way, it didn't work. And then whatever, you know, the pastor's saying, I'm like, I get it. And so I feel like I'm lucky to have lived life the worldly way and my way and wasn't feeling fulfilled to now discovering Jesus. And the more you learn, the more you want to learn. You know, it's like you just give me more. And that's when I learned the term you're born again or whatever that is. I feel like that.
So you went 10 years in the world. You were successful, right, in the world's eyes. You made the money. You had the cool company. You had the great family. And it was still empty. And then you found Jesus. How would you describe, because I know outside looking in, I came from the same background. Our paths are very similar. 27, I had my rock bottom moment as well too. I came from the personal development world. I felt empty as well too. So I totally get that. What would you say is the difference then of what you feel and experience when you're living life with Jesus versus without him?
Yeah. You really understand more about your place in the world. You're not here to accumulate all the stuff because really we're just stewards of his, you know, we were given the gift. We're using the gift to help and serve others. So then you kind of understand it more from a very in-depth way. You know, before it was about, hey, help others and then others will help you and then you'll make more money, right? It's kind of really shallow. Whereas here it's like I see the world as as my family. You know, we're all siblings. We're all the children of God. So God is our Father. And so I no longer felt like my world was me and my family or me and my friends. You know, it was bigger than that. And so when you can give and not worry because God can see everything and God will bless you, you can never outgive God. And there's a place beyond this earth as well. And even being able to understand that we're here to build our character. God cares more about our character than our comfort.
Right.
So, of course, it allowed me to embrace challenges more. I'm like, of course, without challenges, how am I supposed to grow?
Right.
And it's through those challenges that I develop as a good human being. And so with all that, I'm able to kind of detach from material things more. Like material things are bonus, you know, on top of if I serve my family well, if I'm there for them, I'm there for my friends, and I still have time to make money the good way, then it's a bonus. It's not that you can't make money, and God doesn't say you have to be poor to be a gift.
Not at all.
Right. And so I think, and then, whenever challenges come, you're no longer alone. You get to pray. You get to go, God, you know, please guide me. Yeah. Whereas before it was me having to figure everything out, right? Whereas like now it's like you have a problem and I'm like, that's okay because I'm not in control. God's in control. God, you know, what is a lesson here for me? God, what's my next step? Right. And I know in the car you were talking about you prayed as well and go, God, what's my next step? And it's kind of weird for someone who's listening and don't believe it. It's not that God comes and talks to you with his words and visual, but there's something in your heart. There's a realization. There's that calling that he communicates with you, and you can communicate, and you feel not alone anymore. And I think, when we're born, we think that our family are the people that love us, but sometimes family don't love us. True. Like for years, I didn't feel loved because my family was so strict. But if I had God earlier on, I realized that no, God loved me, and if God loved me, I would have been more already fulfilled than being that kind of empty person that was looking on the outside for love and validation. So
big. And I think if we're honest as entrepreneurs, we want to come into entrepreneurship to win outside of a faith perspective, to basically feel like we belong, to feel like we are loved. I grew up a shy person. I wanted to get into business. I wanted to make money, be impactful and influential because I wanted to feel special and important and feel like someone loved me. Because similar thing, right? I had good parents, but I still felt like there was a void. But we try to seek that from success or accolades. And everyone that achieves success without faith, they get to the same place, which is like there's something missing. Yeah. And that something is a someone. And when you finally find your relationship with him again, allow him to work in your life, then everything just takes on a new color. So super well put. I love to ask, so it's interesting because you find faith where your life is on the up, like, naturally speaking. What would you say are some of the biggest struggles to adjusting then? Now you're a Christian, now you're newborn, and now you're like a kid again, but you're still in the same situations, right? You have a family, you have your business, you have stuff like that. What would you say are some of the big struggles that you had to deal with in that transition?
I think when I didn't have God yet, I had challenges, but it was more stressful. It was more on me to figure it out. Yeah. Whereas now I'm still, striving for new goals. God created desires for us. It's not something that we have to go, no, I shouldn't have any desire. I shouldn't want things. But you should, because when you want things, it allows you to step out of the comfort zone and do bigger and better things, right? And so overall, I just feel like I'm striving for goals without that stress, without that. It's more grace. It's more like calm. It's more about enjoying the journey and helping people along the way without being ruthless in business. Right. It's not about like, hey, I just want to like 10x my business and I'll do that no matter what happens. I'm all about that goal and all about that number, that financial goal. It's really about who can I impact? Right. How many team members will I hire? When it comes to outsourcing, I don't just outsource at work. I also outsource at home. I have a cleaner, and often my husband would be like, "Why don't you just clean yourself? Stop wasting money, right?" But I'm like, by me outsourcing to a cleaner, I'm creating a job for her. She's good at what she does. She loves it. She doesn't speak any English. It's a very limited opportunity for her, in her workspace. So I love that I'm able to give her, that gift of a job, and it allows us to have that stress-free moment together. We're not stressed out after work, and we're more present with the family. And so I haven't wasted the money.
Yeah.
We've just exchanged it for peace, happiness, and giving someone else a livelihood, right?
Yeah.
And rather than thinking waste is only if you literally burnt the money and put it in the bin. That's it.
Yes.
And so it allows me to enjoy the business journey so much more rather than, and my, you know, and you trust God more.
Yeah.
No matter what happens in life or in business, you kind of go, hey, I didn't get it my way because it's not meant to be. And then so the challenges are the same.
Yeah.
It's just that how you perceive it is very different. So then you react different, and you still end up getting the fruit from your hard labor without all that struggle. Like, how am I going to get there? When is it going to be there? And oh my God.
That's probably one of the biggest anxieties that entrepreneurs have. When's it going to happen? How's it going to happen? What do I do when all this happens? But when you've God on your side, you just know that he works everything out for the good. And you're just like, all right, you know. Yeah, so that piece of grace is what I hear right there. So 2 questions. First, a practical. Going back to productivity and delegation. Talking about hiring a cleaner. We've hired a cleaner this last year. We've hired a nanny. Like we used to do everything ourselves. Same type of mindset. I get it. What's your tip for any entrepreneur or person out there that's thinking about delegating? Do you have a suggestion on when to, let's just say a cleaner, for example, when is a good time? Do you have any rules to do something like that?
I think delegation is a muscle that we need to build. So, you know, you don't just start off hiring someone every day. We used to have one that came every month and then we go, hang on, it was so good. Why don't we increase it? So you increase it to the amount of, I guess, money that you can afford and feeling safe, right? Like if you're used to spending, let's just say $30 times 4, if you spent $30 times 5 hours times 6 hours, it's something that your mind can kind of comprehend more. But if out of nowhere, you know, so what happened is I increased it to monthly, fortnightly, weekly, and then it went to 5 days a week.
Oh, nice.
So 5 days, but not like 8 hours a day. It's just 2-3 hours, and that person lives nearby, so they don't mind coming in for 2 hours. But the more, you know, whatever you're doing that increases your happiness, you should do more of. And I found that over the years, I realized when you buy stuff, you think stuff will make you happy, like a nice handbag or a nice shoes or whatever. Those things are just so short-lived.
Yes.
It's usually just the experiences that are long-lasting, whether it's travel or it's paying for someone to do something for you. Even though it doesn't feel tangible, like for years when I was growing up, I was, you know, I was brought up poor. So I remember just wanting stuff, you know, buy lots of little stuff and then, you know, and you realize that the more stuff you buy, the more it just doesn't fulfill you, so you want more stuff. And one movie that changed everything was The Minimalist. There was
I've heard of it, I haven't watched it.
Really good. It was on Netflix, and it really taught us about you know, how nowadays in modern life we just want more, and we even have so much stuff that we put our stuff in those storage facilities that we never really see. That one. And I remember watching it, and I was so inspired that I just started to declutter and threw things away. And so when my kids started to grow up, I didn't buy a lot of toys. So we all have the same amount of time. We all, you know, technically can work and make similar money, but it's how we spend the money. And if we choose to spend money on the things that actually don't bring back much ROI for our life, that's the challenge there.
That's huge.
Yeah, and so I have friends who, and the thing about delegation is it's harder to delegate something that you think you can do, right? Like it's easy to delegate a handyman to put, you know, or a builder, because you don't know how to build your house. So you're like, of course I'm going to outsource that. But when it comes to something that you can do, like cleaning, you're like, it's only 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, but it adds up.
It does.
Right? And then it affects your marriage because you don't have time. One person has the different cleanliness standards. And so then, you know, by outsourcing cleaning, it really solves a lot of problems. So yeah, my tip is really just start doing it and see how it feels, because sometimes they're like, it's not for me, I don't know. Just start trying it. And whatever it is in your life that you enjoy doing, and it brings that happiness, increase that happiness. So even when it comes to travel, I remember I never used to travel that often because I didn't know how to travel. It's a really weird thing, because when I was growing up, it was only my parents that took us to Vietnam, and then we would visit the family, but we didn't really travel like, you know, visiting different locations. So I didn't grow up having an urge to travel or didn't know how to travel well. But then in 2016 was the first time I went with my husband on a trip where we very intentionally designed our itinerary.
Yeah.
And we enjoyed it so much that then my goal was to increase it. It's like, okay, we're going to go another time next year, you know, and then 2 times. And now I pretty much travel like once a month.
Amazing.
And, you know, whatever you commit to, whatever you desire, you'll find a way around it. You'll make more money through your business. Everything will just work out.
So well said. Everything we talked about today, like waking up earlier or traveling or delegating, start small. So I think the takeaway I'm getting is if you have a desire in your heart, so Psalm 37:4, back to your point, says, if you delight yourself in the Lord, then he will give you the desires of your heart. Desires are important when you're in line with the Lord. Not desiring is basically a Buddhist mindset. You know, disconnect from everything, nothing's good and all that. God made the world. If you look at the Garden of Eden, everything is like beautiful and fruitful and like it's there just to enjoy. There's nothing wrong about that. So if you have some type of desire, and I think there's a lot of people today that are going to want to delegate. It's been on their mind. Should I do it? Should I not do it? I think the action step is just try a little bit today. Just go hire that person. You don't have to hire them again. But more than likely, you're going to like it so much you're going to continue.
Yeah, and you also have to set the expectation that they won't be as perfect as you, because you know you think you perceive yourself as being perfect, right? But either way, you rather have them do 80% right, but over time they will get better, right? If you do something the first time, it's going to be slower. It's not going to be as exact, but it's about giving that feedback. It's about coaching them. So my cleaner doesn't even speak English, but I knew that she had that hard work attitude, and whatever you tell her, she'll do. She won't even stop to have a bite to eat. I'm like, hey, would you like a cookie that I made or a drink? She's like, no, it's okay. But I trained her, you know, this is how I like to do things. So now she just does everything without us there.
Right. And
she does beyond just dusting and cleaning. She now even sometimes we don't know where our shoes is because she will fill her time with washing the shoes.
Oh, wow.
She'll notice that it's dirty and she'll wash it. And so long-term relationship is so key to great delegation because the longer you are with that person, the more they know of you, the more they can even think for you. You don't have to finish your sentence and they already know what it is. And, you know, when it comes to outsourcing, sometimes people think it's transaction. I'll just hire them and then if I don't need them, I'll give them back. But really, you should treat them like you're hiring a dedicated employee. Right. And, you know, I've got staff that's been with me for over 10 years and I trust them with my finance and people go, how did you find someone like that? I'm like, well, 10 years ago, I nurtured and I developed them. And you can get there if you support them, then they'll support you back.
That's the key thing. I mean, it's so much like Jesus and the disciples, right? You see them come from this group of 12. Of course, one, you know, went rogue, but they went from fishermen and just random people that didn't know what to do. And it was a 3.5-year journey with Jesus. And then they became leaders. So I think so many times, totally when it comes to hiring, we expect, well, I'm hiring, I'm paying them, so they should just be like perfect day one, right?
Yeah.
But I think that mindset is so important, both there and then also in just business as a whole. Your clients, your relationships, it's all relational from what I'm hearing from you. It's all family. I love that perspective again of when you have Jesus in your life and then you realize that the world isn't out against me. Everyone is my sister. Everyone is my brother. When you have that type of a paradigm, you then look with people with such difference, which I think is so missing these days out there as well.
Yeah,
too, so.
Actually, this reminded me of another thing that I have realized that by having faith and believing in Jesus has helped me to overcome things in business, which is learning to work with difficult people, learning to forgive. Oh. You know, my old Asian self would have been, you know, anger and, you know, run away or get into fights, right? But now it's really about, no, what does Jesus want me to do? What would Jesus do in this moment? And it's so much more love and kindness and compassion. Yeah. And, you know, I wouldn't say that there's, you know, everyone is great. Right. There are people that aren't great. Then you just kind of gracefully walk away and remove them from your life. But you don't have to do it in that anger and revengeful or an eye for an eye, right? It's really just leave it to God. God can handle that. Yeah. You just remove yourself from there. Yeah. But it's just allowed me to avoid a lot of conflict because when I didn't have Jesus, I was trying to fix everything myself. It's like, I got to confront them and tell them, my piece of my mind. Because I'm going to help them change so that others don't have to put up with them anymore.
Yeah.
So it's always up to me to have to do everything. Whereas I think that they've got their own journey. They will discover their lessons in their own way, and God will have his own way to teach them. You don't have to be the one doing everything.
Yeah.
And so my life is just so much more drama-free.
Oh my gosh. I think we can all use less drama these days.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you take yourself out of the center of the universe and you realize it's not up to you to judge, that's God's job. Your job is just to love and steward your time, your relationships well. It's way easier on us, and God's a way better judge than we are.
Yes.
He knows way more than we do. Makes a lot of sense. So this final piece here would be, okay, let's talk. So now you have Jesus in your life. Now you're doing things a little bit different way. Even in your own business, in your own ventures, in the own goals and dreams that you've been aspiring to, what are some of the differences that you've seen in terms of whether it's productivity or your business growth or anything like that? Have you noticed any differences?
Yeah. When I first started my business, I really was focused on financial success.
Totally.
And I realized, over the years that money is just one part of everything else in life. Having financial success is one part, but it's about having success in other areas, your health, your family, your time with your friends, your personal development, your self-care. And so I've, really am focused now on holistic success. And I really want that for our business, or the business owners out there too. I want to remind them that true happiness happens when our life is more balanced. And so I call it the 360-degree success. What are all the important areas in your life, and how are you dedicating that time to all those areas?
Right.
And because when one area is missing, you kind of feel like something's off, right?
Yeah.
When you're so busy working and you're like, I'll deal with my family later, I'll see them later, or I'll start exercising in another 6 months when this finishes. But business is challenging, and business will always have the next level to climb. And if we don't start to go, hey, this is enough, I've done my part for the day, let God deal with it. And then I still have that time to exercise, or the time that you dedicate to your family. You break down that schedule in your day to dedicate those time in those areas, you will feel happier each day. And, if each day is happy, you add up those 7 days and add it to another month, that's a life of happiness, right?
Yeah.
Because one thing I learned was, I'm married to another entrepreneur who really believed that his job is to bring money home. And no matter how much money he made, he always felt like there was more to make for us.
Right.
And he also believed that when I finish, hiring that next person or move to that bigger factory, then I'll have more time for the family, or I have more time for my fitness. And that goal keeps moving. So when I waited, and I really believed that, I thought, oh, that's true. Wait until he delegates and hires the next person, and then he'll have time. But I realized it was a myth. It was not true. It's not real. Like you really need to dedicate time now, right? And so my goal or advocacy, or maybe my purpose that I've discovered, is beyond outsourcing, is beyond productivity. It's really about living that 360-degree successful life, because truly what I want is seeing happy entrepreneurs who have worked hard to achieve that freedom, but they don't know how to grab that freedom.
Right.
Yeah.
That's so important. It's the biggest lie of the enemy. There's a book that Napoleon Hill wrote, Not Thinking Rich, but another book called Outwitting the Devil. And in there, it's fascinating. But he talks about the devil's greatest way to distract us these days is not by getting us to sin or do anything crazy, but especially in the entrepreneur realm.
So he's a Christian.
I'm not sure,
okay.
but he talks about the devil.
Okay.
So there's something in there. He's a little interesting. Yeah, it's fascinating. Yeah. But this made a little sense, and it was that the devil gets you busy. And when you're busy, and it's a good excuse, right? I need to do this deal right now. I need to make sure this is my priority, right? I need to check off my must-do list and everything, which we should. But it's that goalpost keeps on moving.
Yeah.
And there's never enough. In fact, if we can't do it now when we have this little of responsibility, when we get more responsibility, what makes us think we can fit in family and faith and all that type of stuff too?
Yeah. So, and we sometimes forget our own mortality. Like we don't know when we're going to live until.
True.
I've been hearing a lot of people dying in their 40s and 50s, and it's so early. And it's like, yeah, you can't keep procrastinating the most important things in your life, which is usually the men in business would be like, I love my family and that's why I work so hard and I need to make more money for my family. But then their family never see them or never get to really spend that quality time. And then, you know, kids grow up really quickly. And so I want people to somehow, you know, be more productive, design their ideal day so that it fits all those other priorities into their life so that they enjoy the journey of entrepreneurship, not just waiting for until I get there, then I will do this.
Makes sense. My gosh. Well, we've covered so many different topics, so quickly. It makes sense. You're the productivity queen, you know? So I have another question for you as we close things out. But before that, where's the best place for people to connect with Miss Lynn?
Simply Google my name, Linh Podetti. You should find me on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube. I'm everywhere. And Outsourcing Angel is where you can learn more about how to outsource and, you know, free yourself up from your own business so that you could enjoy life more.
Yes. And seriously, if you've ever thought about outsourcing, go to them. I've wasted so much time, energy, and money on other VAs I thought were amazing, but you've done so much of the hard work to make our lives a lot easier. Loving the experience
Thank
already
you.
so far. Absolutely. So if you don't mind, look into this camera. I have one question for you, which is talk to the kingdom builder. This is a faith-based entrepreneur. They're building the business. They want to glorify God. They want to prosper in all things. But what's the message that you feel God has in your heart for them today?
For those watching this video out there, God has a purpose for you. Be brave. Have the courage to pursue that. Because we're on this earth to really, you know, discover our true potential and help others to also achieve their true potential. Life is so short. You know, there's that word YOLO. I want you to get out there, just really enjoy and make the most of our short-lived time here.
So loved that. Lynn, it was such an honor. So fun.
too.
Thanks for coming all the way from Sydney here. And Kingdom Builder, if you have not yet subscribed, be sure to subscribe. Share this with someone. Take action on the things that Lynn talked about. And if you need to grab her book, grab this. This is on your website or, okay, where can you find this?
Well, yes, on linpodetti.com website.
Perfect.
Yes.
Grab this. It is full of tips that'll actually free up your life and time. Thank you so much.